Hey everybody, this is Brian and we are Pressed for Truth, and today I'm going to talk about something that's probably flown under the radar for the high majority of people out there, and it goes back to the age-old adage of buy low and sell high. And point number two is what we're going to talk about mostly today, and we're going to talk about the reality of who is really selling the high out there and who is it that's really profiting from a lot of this stuff. I covered quite a bit of this in my fentanyl epidemic exposed video on Press for Truth, but I'm not going to rehash all that because this is an ongoing situation. As we know, Justin Trudeau promised long ago to pretty much legalize cannabis, but that has not happened. Now we're still dedicating tons and tons of time, money, and resources into trying to deal with this, what they will call a problem to protect children, when the reality is there's a huge issue going on with fentanyl and opioids. Now, part of why they're doing these raids is literally just to stop and or eliminate the competition out there. There are some people that are invested in these companies out there, and sometimes they probably would have started off as about a penny stock, so that's the buy low and sell high. So you get these things at $1 and they go up to $5.53, you've made yourself a good amount of coin, especially if you're a bit of an insider and you know the direction of the legislation or lack thereof that's coming up. Now, with anything in life, of course, you want to follow the money, and you guys probably know that's something I like to do well, and this is what we have. So what's happened is the DEA has approved a synthetic cannabis for big pharma company against legalization. And they've approved this, of course, because this is going to help with chemotherapy and AIDS patients, all these things. But what you need to notice is something synthetic had to come into the equation. And why is that? Of course, so it could be patented, and of course, so people can make a fortune off these patents, because that's all the DEA and these drug companies and the bankers actually care about, along with the politicians. So Insys, which was that company that got approved, they announced their first patient-enrolled phase 2 trial. Basically, this is what you do on the way to getting a patent, which means you have exclusivity. And we've seen this been unfolding. So now this is, into October 2016. And of course, we can see here, these guys were the ones that were paying a fortune to make sure that that evil, terrible cannabis doesn't get into the hands of kids, because only the pharma companies that we should trust dearly are the ones that should be involved. But this is the reality, people out there. We're seeing a 3% gain just today. Market cap approaching $800 million. That's a little bit different than a few dispensaries hanging around in town. You can't get that kind of money from doing something like that. 52-week high was actually near $20, so it's probably going to head back up there, but who knows? That's not relevant right now. What is relevant is the fact that all these guys are invested in these types of companies. And again, it's very hard to invest in a mom and pop shop. Now, they're invested in these companies, and the same type of companies, again, is causing this huge opioid epidemic. Wherever you are, this is happening. If you don't, you're living under a rock. But we're talking about thousands of victims, tens of thousands of victims. In BC, we are set to smash our records from last year, looking like around 25% increase. So while our politicians bicker about who should or shouldn't or could or do not or whatever should wear high heels to work, I'm not in favor of forcing women to wear high heels, but I also do know that there are pretty intense things going on in this province. Now, the media doesn't really want to talk about this too much. Of course, they'll put their little 2 cents in, but they're not going to talk about the fact that this is happening out there. We're seeing record amounts of money spent on advertising for the media, so of course they're never going to talk about this type of stuff. So, opioid pain reliever prescriptions across America. We're literally seeing in a lot of places more prescriptions than there are even residents. I mean, this should be shocking. This is a deadly epidemic. God knows what's going on in Canada, but this is happening. This is all for profit, and you can see the rise that has been happening in the deaths. Now, keep in mind, deaths are, of course, horrific, but we're talking about addiction services, divorce courts, selling off houses, children being left behind, all these crazy things that society is having to pay for. But guess what? It's the same company who got the cannabis patent that has been doing this exact same thing with opioids. For 15 years now, these guys have been trying to battle these guys, but it's going to be kind of hard to deal with this on a state level when they're so invested in these companies. Now, Americans consume a vast amount. We're talking about a $24 billion market. Now, remember, it's that same Insys company who's also looking to get in on this $22.6 billion market here. Now, it wouldn't be a video of mine without taking a look into this stuff. And if you scroll down and have a look, you'll find in their pension reports that California alone is invested in this Insys company to $2.2 million. Again, I'm just showing you one. You guys can go here. Please do. I really want people to understand the money behind literally all of our problems. So when you have a guy like Justin Trudeau saying current pot law stands until new legislation is ratified, and why does he want to do that? To, of course, better protect our kids, not from opioids. Don't worry about that. Let them get into that as much as they can. We need to protect them from cannabis, marijuana, whatever you want to call it. And they want to remove the black market. Now, who is the black market? That's right. It's these people right now. It's not the biker gangs and all the terrible people. It's not the black market. Why did they want to get rid of the black market? Because that's the competition for people like Insys and all the companies that we saw earlier. Marijuana producer jumps 356% as Canada's investor pot frenzy intensifies. Now, you can make a lot of money off of this, and they're talking about 6 billion, whatever the number is, it's in the billions, and these guys want to be involved. So these companies are what the government is investing in, what the insiders are investing in, what the bankers are investing in. And take a look at what they're doing on both sides. They're invested in both the opioid industry and now they're trying to move into the cannabis industry. Now, when everyone's talking about, oh, guns are so bad, and, you know, obviously what's going on in Chicago and all these places where guns are banned, you know, this is terrible. Obviously, anybody dying for any reason that's unneeded is bad. But everyone concentrates on this when these guys are spending 8 times the amount of money on this type of stuff to make sure opioids stay legal and people are getting pumped full of drugs. And people are asking for stricter opioid prescription rules. They're getting outspent 200 times, 200 to 1 on this spending. So we know where the money's going to make this problem continue to persist. Even if you look at other aspects, people who just want fair drug pricing, they get outspent by, you know, what is this, 10 to 1 here? It's insane. When we talk about oil subsidies, everyone's all over them. Oh my God, climate change, we're all going to die. We need carbon taxes. This is where it's at, folks. This is where the action is at the craps table in this casino of cash. This is what's going on out here. And these are the guys that make sure that the lobbying is done. Again, a lot of people think that Canada escapes this type of stuff. The future of healthcare in Canada. Can the future of healthcare in Canada be without opioids killing our people every single day? Will our politicians ever do anything? Of course, they get to stay at the Chateau Laurier. Everything's all expenses paid, free dinners, flying people around, all this kind of stuff. Well, these are the people we need to be concerned about, guys. It's not the producers. It's not the street gangs running around trying to take our kids from us. It's these guys. These are the guys that are profiting. The same subprime people, the same bakers making all the same money, and the Congress people, right? It's all intertwined. The pharma CEOs. This is what's happening. These are the people we need to pay attention to. These guys are never going to care as long as the money flows in, as long as the opioids come in. Name one of these guys in Canada. Here's your premiers. Name one of these people who has done anything, even literally mentioned it to solve this problem. All Christy Clark has done is tried to say something about there was fentanyl in pot. And now my thing is my guess, and I don't like to speculate too much, is that at some point in time, they're going to say that they found something in some bag somewhere to protect the kids, and they are literally going to go hands down with the media, the banks, and everyone else to push to close everybody down and push this into the hands of pharma companies, the Loblaws, and whatnot. This is all about greed. This is about protecting profits. It is not about protecting kids. Guys, you know, Dan's just done a video on YouTube censorship. This is one of our sponsors. This is not the purpose of this video. The purpose of this video is, of course, for freedom, for something that, I don't know, 30-50% of Canadians do on a generally regular basis, for stuff that we know there's a medical benefit for, just for overall freedom of choice with our bodies. So give these, make sure you're taking a look at trying to find products from these guys, Liberty's Farms, because they help us out. And as well as Skunk and Panda, you know, they got a lot of stuff there. So if you want to make sure you're getting things that are safe and getting the advice you need potentially for dealing for something like, I don't know, opioid addiction, make sure you give them a shout. And of course, you know us. Think about clicking that bell there. That makes sure that you actually get our emails for the new stuff that we put out. And you can find us here, like, share, and get this out to your friends. We really appreciate that. Have a great day.